Thank you to everybody that was able to make it out to the Nutrition Challenge seminar yesterday. I know many of you couldn't be there, so I wanted to make sure you started off on the right foot by getting all the information that we shared. So today we're going to go over everything that I taught yesterday, and we're going to make sure that you guys know how to use the app. We're going to talk about the different vendors that are sponsoring the mini challenges each week. I got this cool hat from Cormaz Meals, who is sponsoring this week's mini challenge that we'll talk about in a little bit. And we want to make sure that you know whose team you're on and all the ins and outs so that you're ready to hit the ground running on Monday. First of all, at CrossFit Preferred, we really stress a habit-based approach. We want to make sure that you are not running before you can walk. So to do that, we focus on a habit-based approach for our nutrition, which supports a lifestyle change, not a quick fix. And you will find that throughout the challenge that will be doing that. When you sat down with us this week, with your goal setting session, we asked you guys some questions. We asked you how your stress level was, how your sleep was, if you had a good support system. And the reason we did that is because we feel very strongly about taking a holistic approach to changing our habits and moving in the right direction, because there's so many factors that go into our progress, not just the food that goes into our mouth. We know that stress affects our overall commitment level. If we don't have enough sleep, our cortisol levels go up, our leptin goes down, and our ghrelin goes up, which makes it harder to make good choices. It makes our body in that stressed environment, and it's harder to see progress, and maybe it will hold on to that weight that we're trying to get rid of. And we want to make sure that you feel confident in all areas of your life so that you can see the changes. The support system is probably one of the biggest ones we see when we have nutrition clients that have that good support system. Their success is so much greater than those that don't have that support system. Imagine your spouse or your loved one that you spend a lot of time with. If they're sabotaging you, or if they're not following those same kind of habits that you are, it really is a lot harder. I know I'm very lucky to have Chris on my side, who really pays attention to his nutrition, especially when I am, and we kind of support each other in that. So the objective of today is to help you understand how to set yourself up for success during the nutrition challenge, find out what you need to start with first, and to learn how to utilize the tools you have to support you in your journey. The HSN app is a great tool that I'm really excited to teach you guys about, because you're going to see that added support from your group, but also the app itself has educational videos, it has recipes, it has those habits that we're going to be checking off, and it just makes it a lot easier for that success. So to start off, I would like you to conduct a self-assessment. Think about the answers to these questions that I'm about to ask you. Do you have a consistent daily routine? This is something we asked you in your goal setting session. How do you rate that from an A, B, C, D, or F scale? What does your meal planning and prepping look like? This is huge. If you aren't planning, then your success rate is a lot lower. So how are you planning? How are you prepping? Are you making time for that every day or once a week? Do you have a bedtime routine, and what does that look like? Can you improve on that? And what areas do you feel like you're doing well in? We're not just looking at the things that we need to improve. We want to make sure that some of our good habits that we already have are that we're focusing on those as well, so that we kind of give ourselves a pat on the back. Also, one of the things that we do is we do something called habit stacking, where we take something that we're looking to improve on and we stack it and pair it with a habit we already are doing well at, so that we are more likely to accomplish the one that we're working towards. For example, one thing that I'm trying to get better at is remembering to take my vitamins at night. That's a habit I have set for myself this last week. And so I paired that with getting my stuff ready for the morning. So every night when I'm like planning out or about to go up to bed, I will prep all my food and my drinks and everything I need for the gym the next day. So when I'm doing that, that's a habit I already have. I am taking my vitamins and I'm making sure that I have those set out. I also have a vitamin counter thing, or a vitamin, like I have them all divided up. I'm an old lady. Like, that's just the way it is. And I have it all divided up. And so it's easy. All I have to do is open that thing and pour them out and pop them in. So make sure that when you have a habit, you're pairing it with something that you're already doing, and your chances of success are a lot greater. So each of you sat down with Megan and I and told us what your goal is for this challenge. But do you know why that's important to you? Some of you have very specific reasons, and some of you just want to look like Ryan Reynolds with his shirt off. And I'm telling you that that's one of the things I heard. I won't say who said that, but I loved it. What is important to you, and why is it important to you? What we did when we sat down with you is we tried to help you come up with realistic goals, and then we used the SMART system that we use to kind of help make sure that they were realistic and attainable. So first of all, we want that goal to be a specific and measurable goal. So some of you would say, I want to lose muscle, or I want to lose body fat, and I want to increase muscle mass, and that's great. We all want that. But putting a number attached to that is helpful. Or some of you said, I want to get a pull-up. Well, how many and at what time? What's the time frame look like? So being very specific helps you kind of push through when things get hard. So specific, measurable, and then we want to make sure it's attainable. Like if you come in and you're telling us you want to lose 30 pounds in 6 weeks, it's our job to kind of teach you that that's not very attainable. And if you do reach that goal, it's not going to be sustainable. So we want to make sure it's attainable and sustainable. And then, is your goal realistic? Is it realistic to be at 6, 7, 8% body fat? That's a very, very difficult thing to do. And sometimes it's not realistic. Like that would not be realistic for me. And so I would not set a goal for that. So we were helping you come up with a realistic goal. And is it time sensitive? So we have this 6 weeks. This is our initial goal setting session. But one of the questions we asked you guys is, what does success look like in 6 months from now? Because the 6 weeks just a kickstart. It's just going to get us started, get the ball rolling into the right direction, so that when we hit 6 months from now, we're feeling like we hit that 6-month goal and that we're seeing success there too. So put a time limit on the goal that you currently have. And then once you've reached that, set a new goal. What does it look like after the challenge is over? What are your habits look like? How do you continue this process? So the why will make you kind of encourage you as you go, but understanding why it's important also has an emotion attached to it. Will it help you feel happier? Will it help you feel more confident? What will it do for you when you reach this goal? So really pay attention to what the emotion is attached to the goal that you've set for yourself. So let's talk basics of the healthy habits. So first of all, what we do is we focus on one thing at a time. So you guys will see on your dashboard on the HSN app, the first habit, which is to drink 60 to 80 ounces of water. This is something that shouldn't be too difficult. We want to make sure that it should feel like, are you sure that's all I want? That's all you want me to do? Because if it's something that you for sure can reach, then when we stack more habits on top of it, it'll feel easy to keep the current habits that you have when we stack more habits. So that's the thing. One habit at a time, nail that one habit, and then we'll start to layer more habits on top of that. And instead of taking away things, we're going to try and add things. For example, by adding more water, is that naturally eliminating soda or alcohol out of your diet? How are we going to limit those things that might not be helping us in our journey by adding things that will help us? So some things to remember when setting habits: real food over food products, so eating on the outside of the grocery store. Cleaning out your pantry is a big one, because if we have those things in our house, it's going to be a lot harder to avoid them if they're just staring us in the face. Focusing on progress, not perfection. We want to move in the right direction, but we're not expecting perfection here. And then look at the back of a food label, guys. Sometimes things are labeled as healthy or low sugar or low fat or whatever, but something with low fat might be pumped with sugar. So pay attention to food labels. And then follow the plate method, which is something we'll talk about a little bit later. Each of you guys received an email after your goal setting session, and in that email was the Nutrition Challenge Handbook. In the Nutrition Challenge Handbook, it's full of information, including the plate method, which is what you will use to kind of move in that direction if you're choosing not to track your food. And don't worry if you aren't sure where to start during these 6 weeks, because we're here to walk you through step by step and also offer ongoing support to help you reach your long-term goals. So to start building our foundation, we want to talk about 3 principles. The first one is to add more whole foods into your diet. So a great place to start, like I said before, is using the plate method. And this is one way that we can improve our diet by eating balanced meals of high quality without putting too much emphasis on tracking every little thing. So we want to use half of our plate is going to be a non-starchy vegetable, and we'll give you a food list of that. In fact, it's in that nutrition handbook that you can refer back to. A fourth of your plate is going to be lean protein, and then a fourth of your plate is going to be starch. And then we want to sprinkle just a little bit of those healthy fats on the side there. The fats are more calorie dense, so our serving size is going to be smaller. But just remember, this is just a starting point. The recommendations vary based off of your goal and based off of your body type and based off of what's realistic for your lifestyle. So just focus on the plate method to start, and then we can kind of fine tune as we go. So focusing on balance is our second principle. We want to look at protein, carbs, and fat. And if that is way over your head and you don't understand what that means, that's okay. We're going to help you with that. So pair each meal and snack with all three of these macronutrients, and it'll help keep you feeling full and more satisfied. So let's talk about protein. Protein is the building block to a lean muscle mass, and it's super important to hit our protein if that is our goal to increase muscle mass. Also, even if you're not trying to increase muscle mass, if we're not eating the protein that we need, our body needs to get it from somewhere. So it will break down protein for those for amino acids, essential amino acids. And so if we're not eating enough, then we're going to actually be losing muscle mass. So it helps us stay feeling full longer too. So that's why we want you guys to encourage protein throughout every meal and snack, so that we're not having those big spikes in our blood sugars and drops, and we're not feeling cravings between meals. There's two sources. There's lean protein and high fat protein, and there's a time and a place for each of those, and we'll talk about that on the next slide. But just a general rule of thumb is we're trying to get around 30% of our total calories being protein. 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories. And this is important to know as we get into the other macros. So just remember that 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories, and you should aim to be around 30% of your daily calories should be from protein. So this slide shows you different protein sources. Our protein sources, again, fall into a lean, moderate, and high fat category. Generally speaking, you want to be around that lean protein area. There is times for those moderate and high fats. Just know that when you eat from those categories, that is considered your fat source as well. So you're not going to add an added fat source. Now, the one thing that is different here is if you're choosing to follow a high fat diet. For example, if you choose a high fat diet, you might be choosing chicken thighs over chicken tenders. And then you still might add some additional fat on top of that because your fat levels are higher, which means your carbs are lower. So just remember, the fats and carbs are kind of like on a teeter-totter. So if your fats are high, your carbs are low. If your carbs are high, your fats are low. Protein pretty much stays the same across the board. Carbohydrates. So sometimes carbs get a bad rap, but carbs are our body's first energy source. So if we're feeling low energy, especially after our workouts, pay attention to how many carbs you're eating. Carbs are important for us, and there's different categories of carbs too. There's starchy carbs and non-starchy carbs, and there's a time for both of those, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. But just a rule of thumb, you want to be around 30 to 40% of your daily meal calories should come from carbohydrates. 4 calories to every gram, just like our protein. So that should be easy to remember. But again, between 30 and 40% total calories should come from carbohydrate. So when we talk about the plate method, when we say half our plate non-starchy veggies, this is exactly what we're talking about. We can choose anything from this list and fill half our plate with it. And the volume of that will help you feel full longer and make your food it'll be more pleasing to your eye because your plate will still be very full. So pay attention I want you guys to look at this list and pick 2 to 3 things that you want to try this week to add into your meals. For me, I'm a huge fan of Brussels sprouts, zucchini, and red peppers. I like to saute those all together in either olive oil or ghee, and then I make a huge batch of that, and that's kind of what I add to my dinners when I'm wanting more volume. So for example, we had a pasta dish this week called chili mac and cheese that was so good. If anybody wants the recipe, please let me know and I will send it to you. It was delicious, but I needed more volume, and so I just added about 4 ounces of my sauteed Brussels sprouts, red peppers, and zucchini, and my bowl was overflowing. In fact, I posted it on my stories. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, I do post a lot of my food, so go ahead and follow me and you can get some ideas from there. But that gives you an idea of what you're looking for. Like, these are kind of free foods. Have as much of this as you want because it's going to be good for you. So like I said, carbohydrates kind of fall into 2 categories: starchy carbs and non-starchy carbs. It's important to understand the difference between the two when building balanced meals, because there is so starchy carbs there's more carbohydrates per weight than non-starchy carbs. So starchy carbs are going to be things like fruit, squash, potatoes, corn, rice. They're all going to be higher on the glycemic index, bananas, things like that. So what I want you to do is look at this list. We've got our low glycemic index carbs, which are going to be our non-starchy carbs, our moderate glycemic, and our high glycemic. And what that means is that when we eat high on the glycemic index, it's going to spike our blood sugar, and then it's going to drop it. Things low on the glycemic index are going to be more like this. And so throughout the day, we want to aim for low glycemic carbs. Around our workouts is a perfect time to have those high glycemic carbs because it'll get pushed into your muscle for growth and be utilized right away. All right, now we're going to talk about healthy fats. So contrary to popular belief, fat does not make you fat. So eating fat doesn't make you fat. It actually really helps in a lot of things, such as fat-soluble vitamins, which are super important to our overall health. And it also helps us feel full longer. I know I hate being hungry. So I love following a high-fat diet, actually, because it helps me feel full and more satisfied. And not only that, but have you noticed how good fat tastes? It's amazing. It tastes so good. And so I like following that high fat diet because of that very reason. So remember, protein and carbs both have 4 calories per gram, while fats have 9 calories per gram. So our serving size is going to be smaller. It's more calorie dense. And so because of that, our percentage that we want to follow is right around that 30% to 40%, depending on what your carbs are at. But we do need to pay attention that the serving size is going to be smaller. So if you're following 30 to 40, let's say you're following a 40% fat diet, we want to get 30% carbs. So remember, they're on a teeter-totter. So if fat's high, carbs are low. If fat's low, carbs are high. Okay. So here's a list of healthy fat sources from the food option guide that's in that nutrition handbook that I told you about. Remember that fat is good and necessary in our body, but can get out of hand quickly. So be mindful. We want to try and get most of our fat sources from nuts and plants, and then minimize those from animal products. Principle number 3 is to limit the added sugar that you consume daily. So the daily limit for females is actually only 6 teaspoons, and that might seem like not like a lot, but sugar is hidden in everything. So it's 6 teaspoons for females, 9 teaspoons for males. It really is hidden in all our things. So start looking at the back of your food labels. Pay attention to, is sugar in my creamer? Is sugar in my, let's see, I ate peanut butter the other night and my daughter's like, I think there's sugar in that. And sure enough, there was added sugar in it. Yogurt, things like that all have added sugar. So pay attention to that. And to be honest, like when I really try and limit my sugar, I feel so much better. My stomach's less bloated. My body, my energy is better. My workouts go better. So this last week, I've kind of tried to de-junk from the holidays and like have a clean slate. So I haven't had any additional sugar this week. But then, you know, my daughter last night just pointed out, Mom, there's sugar in your peanut butter that you're eating. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't get away from it. But I really do feel a lot better this week. And so being mindful of where our sugar's coming from, even if we're not eating like candy or chocolate, we still have sugar in the foods that we're eating. So pay attention to that. All right, so now is the time to go over the HSN app and make sure you understand how to use it, go over the habits that we have set for you and how to click those off. So this is the time to get out your phone. I'm going to give you a second, pause me if you need to. Pull out your phone and let's walk through the HSN app. So a few really cool things about the app is there will be weekly videos that are going to help you understand your training plan, as well as really teach you things along the way so that when you're done, you feel really confident in how to move forward. There's a group messaging section. You guys should all see what group you're in. You can post pictures, you can ask questions, you can comment on other people's messages. You can also send videos, which is kind of a cool feature. Let's say you have a question and you're driving in the car and you just want to video yourself really quick. So that's something that's easy to do. You can also do private messaging to your coach or to Megan or I. We are always happy to help out with that as well. We can customize your habits. So there are set habits for the challenge. However, some of us are maybe ready for a little bit more. And so based off of your individual needs, your coach can customize your habit and add more habits to your dashboard. And then there's also a sample meal plan attached to your dashboard. If you want to get new ideas, I definitely don't recommend following it to a T, but it will give you more ideas. And it's also in the email app that we sent you after the goal setting session that you had. So we, as coaches, I know I'm planning on sharing a lot of my weekly meals that I have, because if my food tastes good, it's not hard to stick to a plan. So I want to make sure that you guys feel the same way. I know some of you like to keep it really simple and just kind of eat the same things, or keep it simple on the plate and just do protein, carbs, and fat sources. However, I am cooking for a family. I like my food to taste good. I'm okay spending a little bit extra time in the kitchen so that we have variety. So just kind of do a self-assessment and see where you're at. So we know that the most successful clients are those clients who are the most engaged. And a great way to stay engaged is on tracking your habits. So go ahead and click on that first habit, which is to drink between 60 and 80 ounces of water a day. Once you click on it, there'll be a button for you to be able to say complete. Before you click that, swipe over and you'll see some tips and tricks on how to reach that habit. There's also some videos in there that you can watch. Maybe try flavoring your water, add an electrolyte. I like to do the LaCroix. The coconut LaCroix is my favorite right now. And so those are different ways to increase your water intake and still feel like you have something, different to drink other than just straight plain water. So once you've completed that, you'll hit complete and you'll get an orange thumbs up. And then if you go to your calendar view, which is on the top right corner, there's 4 buttons. You can click on that and it'll show you how your streaks, it'll show you how consistent you're being with that habit. And what we're looking for is we're looking for an 80% consistency before we move on to your next habit. Remember, we're trying to focus on one habit at a time, but we will be stacking those habits. So, next week we'll add a new habit, but we'll keep that water goal as well. The next week will be another one. And so we're just layering them until they become very simple and easy. And when I'm talking about habit, a habit's something that we do without thinking. We don't have to ask ourselves, should I do this today or not? For example, brushing our teeth. Brushing our teeth is a habit that we all should have. If we don't, let's work on that. But we get up in the morning and we brush our teeth and we don't think about it. We don't ask ourselves, should I brush my teeth today? We just do it. And so that's kind of what we're looking for. We're trying to create nutrition habits that you don't think about, you just do them. So like I said, there'll be weekly challenge videos. There'll be a nutrition tip, there'll be a mindfulness tip, a kitchen tip, and a recipe video every single week. So make sure you guys are spending time to watch these. We also know that the most successful clients are those who have a great support system. And this is why we have put you guys into teams. So you should see your group. It'll say my group at the top of your dashboard. Your dashboard is the icon on the bottom left of the app. And it'll say, Megan's team, Amy's team, Tirsa's team. This is where you can communicate with your team. You can individually message as well. On the bottom right, there's a CFP shield. click on that and you can message Megan or I directly if you need anything or you're not getting a response as quickly as you might need from your group. So make sure you're utilizing that. I plan on posting a lot of pictures and stuff of the foods I'm eating. I did post like a grocery haul. I went to Sam's Club the other day and posted the things I got there. So be thinking of not only ways that you can get support from your group, but how can you lend support to others in your group also. So why are we using the HSN app? The HSN app is awesome. It is what we use for our one-on-one coaching as well. And we've seen such success in this last year with the support it provides that we wanted to make sure the challenge participants were able to have that same support. So it adds that added accountability, and it allows us to focus on those habits that we're tracking and gives you the group support as well. It also gives us one place to see all the info that is shared, so you don't have to be searching through your phone to find something. It's all in one place. And we use it, like I said, with our current clients. And so it makes it really easy to just keep track of everything. So if you don't have the HSN app already, please download it, move it to your home screen, and make sure your notifications are turned on so you don't miss out on anything that's being said for the challenge. All right, we're going to talk about our frequently asked questions. The first one we have is, do I have to food log? No, you do not have to food log, but it does bring awareness to your food. So if you don't have a MyFitnessPal account, go ahead and download it. You can use the free version. You don't have to pay for it. Create an account and link it to your HSN account. This is going to give you additional support from your coach because we can see what foods you're eating and how to help you modify if you need to. The HSN app the MyFitnessPal app is really awesome in that the more you use it, the easier it becomes because it starts to remember the foods you normally eat and it'll make suggestions. Like, for example, if I put in, if I type in salsa, what happens is it'll come up with the salsa I normally have. It'll put in cilantro, green onions. It'll put in beans. It'll put in all the things I normally log when I'm logging salsa. So it makes it really easy to just click all the things and load it all at one time. Another really cool feature with MyFitnessPal is on the bottom right corner, like let's say under breakfast, you put in 2 eggs. And then you put in the rest of the things that you're eating for breakfast. And you know that you eat those things pretty much every morning. All you have to do is once they're in, on the bottom right corner, there's 3 dots. You click on the dots and you save that meal as your egg breakfast meal. And then the next day when you're having that meal, you can log meal, egg breakfast meal, and the whole thing will load. It also has a quick add option as well. So like the next day, if you just swipe right, it's going to automatically load everything you ate the day before. So there are some really cool features in MyFitnessPal that make it easy. It's a little tedious at first, but the more you use it, like I said, the easier it gets. Some alternatives to food logging, if you don't want to use MyFitnessPal, is just be accountable by taking pictures of your food and loading it to the HSN app for everybody to see. This is a much quicker and easier way to be accountable. And it's easy for me to see a picture and be like, okay, let's try changing this or adding this and seeing some changes that way as well. Another option is just writing down your foods in a food journal. That is how I started. Back when Chris and I got married, I'm going to age myself right now, 19 years ago, I gained probably 15 pounds after we got married. And I decided that I was going to try and lose that weight. And so all I did was I started tracking my food on pen and paper on a notebook that I kept with me. And just by writing it down, and I wrote what I ate and what time I ate it, that was the accountability I needed, and I was able to lose the weight. Next question, do I have to weigh my food? No, you don't have to weigh your food. However, it does bring awareness to portion sizes. For example, peanut butter. Peanut butter serving is 2 tablespoons. It's real easy to grab a spoon and just, that's about 2 tablespoons. But when you actually weigh it, it kind of shows you that 2 tablespoons is a little smaller, and actually right next to it says 2 tablespoons, and then it says it's 32 grams. 32 grams is much smaller than 2 tablespoons, just to give you an idea. So being aware of portion sizes by weighing is very, very helpful. Do I have to eat the starchy carbs? Aren't they bad for you? Honestly, carbs aren't bad for us, and there's a time to eat those carbs. And like I said, try and avoid, or try and fill most of your plate with those non-starchy carbs, but don't shy away from carbs, guys. There's a time for those, and they are a good energy source. It's only when we're eating carbs in excess that they can it can be stored as a fat in a fat cell. So as long as you guys are being mindful, you should be fine, and don't avoid it. So what if you don't love veggies? What do you do? Okay, so this is hard. I have a daughter who doesn't like veggies. So I hide it. I hide it in my recipes. She's much better at it if she can't really see it, or it's a texture thing for her a lot of times. And so I dice things really, really small and hide it in stuff. And that way I know she's getting something. I'll add spinach to smoothies. I'll try cooking veggies different ways. So maybe try air frying or try sauteing. I know Megan mentioned that she will roast hers with some like turkey sausage, so that the flavor of the sausage kind of goes into the veggies. There's a lot of really great seasonings out there. We love all the seasonings they have at Trader Joe's are really, really yummy. So go pick up some new seasonings. There's this cheesy something one that is really good at Trader Joe's. So go pick up some new seasonings and try something that way. And just find a way that you enjoy them. Can I still eat my favorite foods? Yes. In fact, I want you to eat your favorite foods. Please don't avoid your favorite foods, because what will happen is you'll get to a point by the end of the challenge where, let's say you love pizza and you wouldn't eat it for 6 weeks. Well, what are you going to do the second the 6 week challenge is over? You're going to order an entire pizza and eat it by yourself. So we are wanting to avoid those all or nothing mentalities, those binge purge cycles. So using that same example of pizza. I actually made pizza for Chris and I last night for dinner. We have pizza probably once every 2 weeks, and I've just found ways to do it so that it's pretty balanced. So I found a crust at Trader Joe's that was really reasonable for, I actually ate half a pizza, and I load it with high protein. So I do Canadian bacon, I did prosciutto, and I did turkey pepperoni. And then I add as many veggies as I want. And then I mix light mozzarella with regular mozzarella for the cheese, so that I am having that again, when you use light mozzarella, that's going to be high in protein. And then I just find a sauce that's a little bit lower on the carb side. And so by doing that and pairing it with a side salad, my meal was about 60 grams of protein, which is, pretty average. Like, I think I try and stay around 40 grams of protein carbs, 40 grams of carbs at dinner. But 60 is not too bad, especially if you're having pizza. So it gave me what I needed. Like on the weekends, I have that mentality where I want to let loose a little bit. So that was a good substitution for me to be able to still have pizza, but make it at home so it was a little bit lower in carbs. So are there any snack bars I can have? Yes. My favorite is the G2G bars. We sell them at the gym. They're so, so good. I love the peanut butter chocolate chip coconut one and the almond coconut one. Those are my two favorites. If you haven't tried them, you've got to try them. They don't taste like a regular protein bar. They're delicious. So that would be my first one. Another option is the perfect food bars. The perfect food bars are going to be a little bit higher in calories and fat. However, I just found the snack size ones at Sam's Club and bought some of those, and they are so good. They're like a treat. They're delicious. I also really like the Built bars. And then somebody had recommended yesterday a bar that was going to be a vegan bar, and I can't remember the name of it, so I'll find out for you guys. Do you have to eat all your food? So this comes down to the energy that you might have for the next day. So sometimes if you're feeling like, man, I am eating so much food, pay attention to how you feel the next day. If you didn't eat all your food, do you have enough energy? Are your workouts still going okay? Like, how are you feeling overall? So that's super important. You might one thing you can do is try spacing your food out throughout the day more. Like maybe you're leaving too much food at night, and maybe that's why you're feeling like you have too much food. Just space it out. And then oftentimes we especially as women, we restrict so much, and we don't realize that by adding food, we actually see better results. So don't be afraid of food. So what happens after the challenge? This is something that you might be thinking about now and maybe not, but if you know, like I said before, this is just a kickstart to our journey towards a longer term goal. That's why we asked you guys, what is your six month goal? And this is why we offer our ongoing individual support through our one-on-one coaching. That's really where we dial things in and where we specialize the habits that you have and really help take you to that next level to reaching your goal. Some of you guys have goals that are, you know, losing 10% body fat or increasing 5 pounds of muscle mass. That takes time, and having that added support is really going to help move the needle faster and get you to that goal as quick as possible. All right, so we're going to talk about how you win the challenges. So we will have an overall female and male winner with a $300 cash prize. That will be based solely on body composition score. So if you have an increase in muscle mass, you'll get a positive score. If you have a decrease in fat mass, you'll get a positive score. If there is, for some reason, a tie, that will come down to the habits and the activity that you are participating in the group. So we will look at how consistently you're hitting your habits. If you're at 80% consistency and somebody else that you're competing against is at 90% consistency, then that will be the tiebreaker and they will win. So make sure that you are participating in the app as well. We also have mini challenges each week. So like I said, we're partnering with several local businesses. We posted about them last Friday with a QR code that will link you to their website. So make sure you check that out. Let's talk about what our week 1 mini challenge is. So our mini challenge for week 1 is going to be sponsored by Cormaz Meals. Like I said, he gave me this cool hat and he came and brought us a bunch of samples of his food, and it's amazing, guys. That it's so good. Like his chicken is probably the juiciest chicken I've ever had. He's got a lot of little like treat bites and stuff and energy balls and that are really, really good as well. And to be entered in to win this challenge into the raffle, you need to plan out your workouts for the week and share your plan with your team. And now, if you normally work out 5 days a week, I want you to challenge yourself, maybe add an additional workout or an accessory work. So for me, my challenge that I'm going to do for myself is to add in 5 days of core work. So that's the little push that I'm going to give myself. 5 days of core work in addition to what I already do. So go ahead and write that out, see what it looks like, share it with your group. And then as long as you do that, your name will be entered into the raffle, which will be next Monday night at 7 p.m. We'll be drawing that live. So make sure you tune into that on Instagram. And we're really excited for these weekly mini challenges to keep you guys engaged throughout the whole thing. And like I said, remember, we're looking for progress, not perfection. We want to see things long term. How's this going to work in the big picture, grand scheme of things? Ask your coach for support, guys. Utilize the group and focus on your habits. And remember why you're doing this. Remember what your goal is. And I promise you guys will see success at the end. Thank you so much for participating with us this year, for taking time to watch the video and get yourself started with success. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me or Megan. We're happy to help. We are so excited to see the progress that you make over the next 6 weeks, and we hope you have a great weekend. Bye.